Today I'm going to be taking a look at two incredible and fundamental plugins that I have been using for my drum mixing. Both by Soundradix. I'm going to be taking a look at Auto Align 2 and Drum Leveler and how together you can use them to basically have a complete peace of mind that your drum stems are where you want them to be before you do any re-triggering, any colorization, and before you mix them in with the rest of your track. I'm Daniel Nesci. I'm a mix engineer and composer based out of Sydney, Australia. Let's jump into it straight away. These are drum stems provided by my friend Carl Karich. I mastered this song category 3 and I just asked him if he could flick me the drum stems for this video, so thank you to him for that. I'm just going to play the raw stems back now. So pretty good. Carl always sends me good stems. To be honest, Carl's one of those clients where I never have to actually worry about anything he's sending me. It's always going to be pretty good. Sometimes that's not the case. And this is where plugins like Auto Align and Drum Leveler really come to shine when it's, quite potentially a poor mix. But that being said, I use them on everything. So I've pulled up I've pulled up Auto Align now, and I have placed Auto Align on every instance of not the bus, the actual audio track itself. So I've got Auto Align here. You can see on the left side, it's got all of my drum parts. It's going to say just get started, click align. So I'm going to click align. It's going to want for the playback. I'm going to let it play for a minute and then I'm going to let it align itself. So I've stopped the playback now, it's aligning, and you can see that it is kind of grouped it. Now the reason that this might not have been grouped up, which one is this? This is the stem rack, and honestly it probably just hasn't had a chance to actually play it. It only occurs twice in the track. Usually I try and make sure that all the stems are heard for quite a bit, but in this case I'm just gonna leave it at that and that'll be fine. Essentially, now that everything should be aligned and corrected for the most part, it kind of gives you just that peace of mind to know that what you're doing or what you're about to do is done on stems that are aligned with each other. Nothing's going to clash. And then from there, after I work with Auto Align, I'm going to work with Drum Leveler. Now this is Drum Leveler. This is what you get when you open it up. It's a really nice, clean UI. I've got this right now open on the stem, so I'm just going to solo the stem bus and I'm going to loop this section here that's got a mixture of ghost notes and main hits, and I'm just going to play around. So essentially you've got your target level here, you've got a low threshold, a high threshold. The more you push the compression, the more it will just push that note to hit the target level. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the threshold. You're going to see what happens when I engage it just at a normal hit level, but also when I start to push the ghost notes into that area. I would never actually do that in a proper mix, but you'll just see the effect that this plugin is doing. So I'm going to play now. I'm just going to play around. So what I've tried to do there is I've tried to just attack the main snare hit. I'm not interrupting the ghost notes at all, and I'm just trying to make sure that the snare is hitting the target level. Likewise, if we go have a look at the kick now, I'm going to go do the same. I'm going to solo the kick. And there's a whole bunch of processing you can do in here. There's a dual mono, the stereo, the mid side. There's a whole bunch of things you can change here. There's that frequency range at the bottom. There's the side chain functionality. There's a whole bunch of presets too. But essentially, when you use auto align and you use drum leveler together, you basically just set yourself up for success. And I think that's just the best way to put it. Obviously, we wish that our drummers and our MIDI and everything could just be perfect and that the hits are going to be super consistent and even across the board, but that's just not the reality of how things are going to go. And this is where a plugin like Drum Leveler comes into play, because it allows you to just even things up nice and consistent across your track based on whatever threshold you've put as kind of that triggering point. And from there, you've basically put your stems in a really awesome opportunity to succeed. I have it on my toms too. I've just got it way low. Instead of like a negative 8 dB, I've got a negative 14 dB, which is where I usually try and get my toms to. Usually I'll actually put my kick at a negative 6 dB level. My snares try at like a negative 9 dB level. Obviously that's open to interpretation depending on the song and the genre. But if I've set my stuff up like that, I kind of am comfortable in the situation I'm in, and I know the scenario of what I'm in and how the stems have been treated and dealt with. To me, that all constitutes like a massive portion of mixed prep before I start adding things like decapitator and trigger, any SSL channels, any of my external hardware that I have here. I like to apply all of this before I do any of that. So now I'm just going to go through. I'm going to just slowly enable different things, and you can hear kind of what's going on. So on the snare bus, I've got a couple things. I've got kind of decapitator, SSL, an SSL channel, Pro Q, and I've got a variety of things across the all of my buses. So I'm just going to go through, enable things like that. I'm going to listen through with everything on. I'm going to do a final A/B, and yeah, we can just have a little bit of a sum up on some really amazing use cases I've had for auto align and drum leveler 2 recently in a couple of client mixes. Note, I've just turned off my limiter so you can get a little bit more idea of an A/B of what we heard initially to now. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. You know, like I said, it was like a 10-15 minute mix job before I jumped on here, and I wanted to mainly showcase those 2 plugins. So auto align, again, apply it on all of your individual drum stems, align it up, and you'll get a really nice peace of mind knowing that everything's been corrected, any phase issues, things like that. Then when we talk about drum leveler, for me, my main use cases are kicks, snares, toms. However, that being said, really your only limitation is kind of your creativity and what you want to apply to them. I can definitely see there being use cases for hats, overheads, things like that. Basically anything that's got inconsistencies, it really just helps with your gain staging, which for me I think is an underrated and critical part of especially drum mixing overall. Like I see all the time people applying 20, 30, 40 plugins to, you know, their actual individual instrument stems themselves, and they've got like 5 or 6 things on the kick. Really, I honestly don't like to have more than kind of 4 or 5 plugins all up on kind of individual buses. The only exception is probably my 2 bus out. But other than that, if I have a look at my kick, I've got, you know, 4 things on there, 3 things on the actual thing, 2 things on the stem of the snare, 3 things on the bus of the snare. You know, the rooms I didn't even touch because I know that that wasn't what I was looking at today. But things like drum leveler just allow for that consistency of the tone and just allow for really a good part of your work to be done. Because imagine if you had to manually go through and gain stage those individual hits. Absolute nightmare. Same with if you had to normalize your audio across the entire stem. You definitely don't want to be doing that either. Drum leveler allows you to target specific threshold points, bring them up to level you want to, and auto align just gives you the peace of mind that your stems are in the best place they can be. So if you haven't checked these out, there's a full bundle on the Soundradix site that has these 2 and another 2, the Surfer EQ and another phase plugin. The name escapes me at the moment, both of which I have that are really good. But out of the Soundradix offering, these 2 are the ones that I use the most, and they're absolutely incredible plugins that I cannot recommend enough. So if you like that, go check that out. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments or DM me. Happy to answer any questions, all the use cases I have for the plugins. But yeah, incredible product offering from Soundradix, and they absolutely make the lives of mix engineers and anyone processing drums way easier.